dear friends, my dear masters, and my dear gods. I address you as friends because we are all born having the idea of being friends to everyone, every living creature, every animal, every bird, every human being, and every other form of nature which is available to us and which are at our service. I call you as masters because it is our duty to be in charge of our own lives. We are the masters of our own lives and monarchs of our own kingdom. I call you as gods because we are all gods, we are born gods, and it is for us to develop the godliness during our existence on this great Mother Earth. So, friends, in the last episode, we have been examining how death is a necessitant for a better spirit and for a better world. Because each time we die, we go to the other worlds for getting a more better quality of life when we come back to this earth, having learned our lessons after all the misdeeds that we may or may not have done. So today's subject is sin and how sins originate and the destiny of humanity, which are also regulated by the sins that we may perform or commit either knowingly or unknowingly. So, the innate faith in justice is what prevails, and that is what we have to know. So, off I start with yet another edition of Harold Baldwin Percival's book, Thinking and Destiny, and the pearls of wisdom that we gather from him, thanks to our Brahmashri Pitamaha Patriji, who has culled out and selected the messages that need to be stressed for all the people in the world. The thoughts of one life which have not been adjusted or are carried over by the doer to the next life and to the next, and from one civilization to another until they are adjusted. Families, tribes, cities, nations, civilizations, and the whole of humanity have their destiny. The presence of the destiny of humanity is one of the sources from which comes the feeling of assurance that justice rules the world. The other source is the idea of justice. This idea is inherent in the doer of every human, and because of it, man fears the wrath of God and asks for mercy.
It is very important that every thought has got a destiny. Because this destiny is the provider of justice to all mankind throughout. So a thought that is generated or entertained by a doer, it not only prevails in one lifetime, it goes on from lifetime to lifetime. For centuries, it goes on like that, for eons of time. So, we should understand until the thought is exteriorized or it is met with its whatever required action or required exteriorization is required, that until it happens, the thought never vanishes. So, the thought has to be balanced, only then it will come to an end. So it has to meet its destiny. So destiny is very essential because only through destiny that we learn a lot. We come here and to learn, and learning is part of our life or the main course of our life for which we come here on this earth plane to live such a life. We will be thinking why ever this is all created, why we have come here, what is our purpose here. We will not be knowing at the first instance, then we'll make many incarnations here, one after the another, with various bodies, with different bodies, and with different setups, family, society, nation, and the whole world. Like that, it will keep on changing. So we come here, in every incarnation, we do learn such a lot through the destinies that we have already set up. We have already created all that. So all those things come in front of us, and that has to be worked out. That is, the entire life is full of that. So it's all, everything, the whole life, the future is in darkness as far as an ordinary human being is concerned, because nothing is known of the future. So he is bewildered as he comes here, but doesn't know that he himself has created all these things through his thought. So he has to, that justice is being meted out even in his life, because his thoughts have generated such things. So he has to understand this very well. So his destiny is full of good things only. Even though we may say that, oh, why am I destined to undergo all this suffering? That is what every human will say. Human will lament. But actually, when we know, when we ponder, then we will understand that it is we ourselves who have created our own destiny, our own realities. So we should, once we understand this, then life becomes far easier for us to go about and learn things very easily, and come up and grow to a very great extent. And and we come to one stage where this earth life is no more needed by us, because all the lessons have been learnt by us. So such a condition every human being has to come to, and that is going through this life several times and working out the karmas, or working out the destiny that we have already set up. So it is only our own deeds that give rise to this life, another life, like that. So we will learn all that. It's not at all bad to come back again and to learn lessons. It's very good, as well as to take some break and go through death and go to the other worlds, take some nice rest and ponder over all the things, then come back again fresh and never to repeat the same thing, and then learn so many things in life.
Hi friends, here I would like to mention a few points, how a master thinks and how a lay person thinks. The lay person is attached to the after effects of his deeds, like he is attached to the results of his deeds, whereas a master only doesn't create destiny, doesn't wait for any exteriorization. He just leaves the thought and it is exteriorized immediately, whereas a layman and a normal person who is yet to become a master will be attached to it. So that is the reason he keeps taking on births after births. So we should understand that, and that is what was mentioned even in the previous chapters. So we should be more conscious of what we are thinking and not be attached about the result of the thinking. That is the only factor which brings us back to the earth life. So that is what I got from this reading. I think that is the only difference a master and a normal person has.
Yeah, rightly put. We should never be attached to things. The result should never worry us at all. We never think of that. That is the quality of a master. And every human being who is a layman today has to become a master tomorrow. So that is how the whole life is set. So all of us have to reach that level. So with Percival's wisdom, yes, we can grow at a fastest rate, fastest pace, and we can become a master very easily. We shall again thank Percival for giving his excellent, marvelous and brilliant wisdom, and he has freely given it to the mankind. Thanks a lot, Percival ji.
The wrath of God is the accumulation of wrong actions which, like Nemesis, pursues ready to overtake as soon as the conditions are ripe. This feeling of the destiny of humanity is shared by all its members. It causes mankind to try to propitiate some unseen being and is made one of the foundations of religion. The mercy which man seeks is likewise a source of religion. He seeks it that he may have his just deserts removed. Removal is impossible, but the pressure of one's thoughts towards exteriorization may be held back for a time until the suppliant for mercy is able to meet the exteriorizations of his thoughts. Mercy is asked by those who feel themselves too weak or who are too fearful or too selfish to let the law be fulfilled.
Yeah, this is also a wonderful light on sins. That is the wrath of God. That's what ordinary man thinks. Because he has been under the influence of a religion, and religion says there is a God and you should obey God. Otherwise, you have to, if you do wrong things, then you will definitely, if you don't obey God, the rules of the concepts of the religion, then immediately you will be punished. That is how mankind has been brought about. Yes, of course, religion has its advantage that it brings about a unity, a sort of control, a sort of order in humanity. To that extent, yes, religion is effective and that is needed. Whereas the fear of God should be removed. There it should be replaced by the love of God. And we should also understand what God means exactly. That is why we should read such books and ponder and then come to the understanding. Every human being has to come through all these things, and then with the rich experiences that he gets on this earth plane, he will be able to reach that level and he will become master of his own destiny. That is what is essential. And as Purnima has rightly put it, that we should always try to be aware of whatever we think, whatever we speak, and whatever we do. Then we can avoid all these sins and there is no need to ponder over it. And then come back again for another existence, beg for another existence on the earth plane to meet out all these things. So it is a very wonderful justice that is being there. It is prevailing throughout the cosmos. So everywhere in all the existences, yes, there is great justice. So justice only rules the whole thing. So we have to abide by that, and we have to think that when we act or when we think or when we speak, that justice is there. We should be aware of that, and according to that only our thought, word and deed should be. So how beautifully we can lay out our own life and lead a fantastic, beautiful, wonderful life, always joyful, always happy, and never to be sad at all. So that sort of a life we can lead, and in that stage there will not be any need for us to come back and suffer all the bad things that we have already committed through our thought, word and deed areas. So yes, but Percival gives us the very fundamentals of how our life has been formed and how we can rectify everything, and we should find out ways and means to perfect it. That is what he wants all of us to do.
So friends, here I would like to tell you, as the general thought is that each religion we are told to believe one God. It is not actually like that. As we go higher in spirituality, we know that spirituality is beyond religion. It is open to everyone. There is no one single God. In fact, I had this question when I was 7 years old as to what is God. So I kept asking everyone, the priests, the nuns, the other people who are already following the religious practices, but none of them could answer, and I got the answer from the Master Guru Nanak, and he took me to a place full of white light. I didn't want to return back, and it was full of energy. It was so beautiful. So he told me this energy is God. So basically it is so very neutral there. Anybody can access that energy. So the universal laws are all put by these government of intelligences, So it is actually not bound by religion, but we should actually understand that religion is kept for a kind of discipline, to bring about a discipline on the earth plane. So we should understand the greater truths of life as we go on in this path, and the basic questions should be there. Each person should have these questions: why this life? What is the purpose of my life? And what is God actually? So it should start from an early age. I think you can all tell your children and all the youngsters to think about it, because now the times are really changing and youngsters are getting into the path of spirituality. So as we ponder and think about this, we'll get the truth quickly.
Yeah, it is very well put that youngsters should be exposed more and more by the elders. Then only the spirituality can develop and they'll really come to understand what this great life on earth is all about.
I would supplement it by saying that they will not only know what life is, but they will also know the purpose of their lives. Every individual would be able to know the purpose of his life, so that they can create a routine for themselves and create the actions which are required to be on the path of justice and path of righteousness. Now, coming to this message given by our Harold Baldwin Percival, the wrath of God, which he refers to, I would say, or I would state that it comes because the people who are following religions, that too religiously, I mean with rituals, etc., they believe that God is the superpower who can decide their own life, their existence, the quality of their lives, etc. But it is astonishing to know that even Percival has said that they believe in the wrath of God. So, if you have belief in God and you believe He is a great power, then how can God be less merciful? Because God is known to be all merciful and all kind and all loving. So, the impression or the belief that God has also some wrath or vengeance creates a sort of fear in the people who follow these religions, and that is why we always say the spirituality is a higher level as compared to religion, and that is where we should graduate into in the course of our existence here, and that is the way we should guide our youngsters for a better living. So, coming and reading further, we will come to know what is the wrath and what is the vengeance and what is actually happening in this world, whether there is justice or not. And that is important for us to know that there is a destiny and there is an order in this old world. So, continuing this reading, besides the fear of the wrath or vengeance of God, and in addition to the desire for mercy, there is in man a faith that somewhere in the world, notwithstanding all the seeming injustice, there is, though unseen and not understood, adjustment and justice. This inherent faith in justice is self existent in the doer of man. It blossomed when the Aya was raised to be a triune self. To evoke this faith, it requires some crisis in which man is thrown upon himself by the seeming injustice of others. The faith in justice is part of the intuition of immortality, which persists in the heart of man despite his agnosticism and materialism and adverse conditions which harden him. The intuition of immortality is the underlying knowledge that the doer comes into being in the eternal, not in time, that it has fallen into time, that man is able to live and will live through the seeming injustice that is imposed upon him, and that he will live to right the wrongs which he has done. The idea of justice innate in the heart of man is the one thing which saves him from clinging for the favor of a wrathful God. The idea of justice causes a man to look fearlessly into another's eye, even though he may be conscious that he must suffer for a wrong that he has done. The fear of the wrath and the vengeance of God, the desire for mercy, faith in the eternal justice of things, these are evidences of the doer's recognition of the destiny of humanity. So I pass over to Girija Rajan, and you may please explain the concept of sin from the eyes of the PSSM.
Yeah, the concept of sin. What is exactly sin? Sin is something that we do against our better knowledge. That is what is sin. That is what is explained. That is what is the definition of sin. So, actually, man is bewildered by the wrath of God, the so-called created God in every religion, that he will punish when you do things wrong things. But at the same time, because the doer is immortal, the doer knows, very well realizes that there is justice, there is adjustment in this world, even though we always fear that there will be a God who will be very cruel to us and punish us. So, inherently we have got this quality of belief in justice. So, because we are immortal, the immortality actually gives us this. So, the wrath of God, the punishment, then asking for mercy, and then understanding that there is justice that prevails. And it is because of the justice that all these seeming injustices happen. To get back justice, it is not because of injustice everything happens. It is because of justice that all seeming injustices happen. Because when a person doesn't do, for example, a father sees his son doing something wrong, he immediately beats him. One beat just he gives. That only the beat that we see, that the father is beating the son. So that we call as injustice. But that beating is given to correct the son. So there is justice. Because in the beginning the son has committed some mistake. So this is a duty of the father to correct. So naturally, we seeing only the beating, we think that father is behaving in an unjust manner, or he is not correct in his behavior. So like that we think, but it is not so. So when we think of the whole thing, we take the whole existence into consideration, then only we will come to know that the whole world is running because of some underlying justice, which is always prevalent here. So that fact every man understands. Yet he falls a prey to all these things, the so-called the created God's wrath, the punishment, and he has to ask for mercy and do prayers, do this, that. Then only he can get the some relief from this, all this injustice, so-called injustice that is prevailing here. So he doesn't have the full picture. That is why he is coming to a conclusion, the short-sightedness that he has got. That is why he comes to a conclusion that the whole world is full of unjust things, injustice happening everywhere. So unruly it is. So there is so much of tragedy here. That's what he thinks. But actually when he learns that the entire picture, he comes to know about the entire picture, then he will know that there is the underlying, the thread of justice goes round and round the entire creation. So the man has to understand this.
Mrs. Girija explained so very beautifully. So this is all true for normal and general people who are not in the path of spirituality. Inherently, how do we carry the justice? How do we know that there is inherent justice within us? That is nothing but our conscience, which we don't regard or respect. The general people don't listen to our, we already are built in with the conscience, the voice which keeps telling us that that which is wrong and that is not and which is right. So we don't really give importance to that. This is all these things are applicable for the people who are not in the path of meditation. But the people who are in the path of meditation will be aware and will be, they know very well that there is no separate God sitting above us and giving us, doing some, giving us the punishment or whatever. It is all a creation of our own thoughts, and we create our own reality. That is what we come to know as we go in the path of meditation and as we go higher in spirituality. So we know that, but all these rules and regulations are kept for all of us to have a kind of discipline. Even before we come into the path of spirituality, we tend to believe in all this, and we the people who are not in this path should have some kind of discipline. So that is why all this has been kept, and that is good. We should be we should really think before we commit any mistake. We should listen to our conscience, and I think that will do everything. We should follow our conscience all the time, whether it is for general people or for masters. It's better to listen to our inner voice. So that's what I feel. I think we can go on to the next reading.
The story of original sin is not without basis. One proof of that ancient sin is present with every human in the sorrow that follows an act of mad desire, which, even against his reason, he is driven to commit. Another evidence is the existence on earth of what today is spoken of as the lower human races. This and other events which underlie the legend of original sin have consequences which reach the present day. They all come from times when doers knew right from wrong and were therefore responsible. They could not stand still but had to go on or back one way or the other. They had to decide, and they gave in to the temptation of pleasure. They now give way to sensation and assent to their desires. They look into darkness rather than into light. Their destiny has followed them through the ages. It has led them deeper into wrong. And now the degree of doers in human bodies is that of sense-bound doers. Their feelings and desires are ruled and enfeebled by sensations, and the light of intelligence is obscured in them. They are dimly conscious of events for which they were responsible. This is one of the reasons why the doctrine of original sin has found a response in the hearts of so many. But the origin of the story of original sin was when the doer in its perfect body was in the realm of permanence. There, in the trial test for bringing its feeling and desire into balanced union, it failed. Therefore, it came into this world of birth and death, and it periodically re-exists in a man body or in a woman body.
Yeah, beautifully put out by Percival. Fantastic words. That is the original sin. Whether it has got relevance or not, it is not the subject of discussion today. But it has got some meaning that when the doer was in its perfect body, in his perfect body, in the realm of permanence, along with the other two, that is thinker and knower, everything was going very perfect. But as an experiment, everywhere we have to take an experiment. As an experiment, when the doer did not know how to balance his feelings and desires, then everything went wrong for him. So he had to come to another realm. He fell down from his grace, and he had to take a form in this human body to go back and to realize that he is one of the three parts of consciousness. That is what happened. So from there, then on, he has to, when he came to the earth plane, to work on the body, and through the body he got many experiences through which he gained knowledge and wisdom. And then only he came to connect with the light of intelligence and then understand that is one of the triune selves. But until that time, many years would have passed. Many years have passed really. So like that, every doer has to select a body and then come over here and then work out this. So the sins that he commits through his thought, word or deed has to be worked out. So there is no escape from that. That's what Percival says. So the original sin idea is really meaningful, and that is why the doer had to come onto this earth plane. But in our Pyramid Spiritual Society's movement, we go a step ahead and say that yes, even though you have your sins, you can come out of it by your good deeds, by doing so much of service. You can grow to a higher level, understand things, and then you can understand about yourself and why you have come here, and be aware and keep yourselves away from doing wrong things to others. That is, you do things which are beneficial for you as well as the others. This is what is being taught here. This is what is being realized by every master through his own or her own meditation. So it is meditation that again goes on to develop us to a very great higher degree. So we should thank this movement, and especially Brahmashri Pitamaha Patriji for introducing meditation to multitudes of people here on this earth. So it is very great thing that we can know ourselves, we can realize ourselves easily through practice of meditation on a regular basis, as well as read books by great masters like Percival, Seth, and so many others. Carlos Castaneda's books. Like that, we are exposed, or we are introduced to the world of books in this Pyramid Spiritual Society's movement, and we also gain knowledge through the experiences of others in meditation. So meditation experience also is fantastic. We can know so many things, as Madam Purnima had explained how in her meditation she was shown by Guru Nanak Ji, the great Guru, Sikh Guru, what God is. This great energy, great brightness, great light, the light of intelligence, the immense intelligence that is prevailing somewhere, that is God. That's what he has pointed out, and we get to know so many things. So your practice of meditation, reading books, and hearing others' experiences, these three they pave the way for you to get enlightened in a swiftest shortcut. I mean, this is a swiftest shortcut, I can say, to enlightenment. So you can get enlightened at a very short period. And so please come and listen here, and you just see this channel and then develop yourself. This is a great opportunity for the entire humanity to develop himself or herself in a short time.
Here we can see how Percival has explained why we have come on to the earth because of the original sin, and now we have got a path, the how to get back to the realm of permanence, and that is through Patriji's movement, this wonderful movement, PSSM movement. I think we can get back quickly to the realm of permanence by following all the three things, that is meditation, reading of books, and sharing of experiences. So I think all the other points have been covered. I think we should be closing the session here, and we'll meet you all soon in the next session.
So thank you, friends, once again. Do make it a point to be in touch with Percival's wisdom by reading his book, Thinking and Destiny. And as we learn, he has promised in his initial foreword that as you keep reading, with every reading, you go closer to enlightenment. And by the time the book has been completed by you and all the knowledge has been grasped by you, you would have got enlightened. This assurance he has given to every person who is reading the book. That shows how keen he is to see that every person, every individual on this earth is enlightened. So I once again take pleasure in thanking Brahma Vidvarishta, Girija Rajan and Purnima ji for the program, for conducting this beautifully. Thank you, thank you, thank you.